Canada welcomed more newcomers in 2022 than ever before. The federal government says it met its goal of 431,645 new permanent residents. And Ottawa says it plans to keep bringing in more and more people. This afternoon, I spoke with Don Walmsley of Neepawa and Area Immigrant Settlement Services. Neepawa has seen its population almost double in the past 10 years, thanks to immigration. I began by asking Don what supports are needed, given Ottawa's plan to push immigration numbers higher.
First of all, I support the initiative. I think it's extremely important. I think immigration is a vital component for Canada's moving forward into the 21st and 22nd century. I think historically Canada has been a country that has grown and developed on immigration. But I think we need to remember that immigration is simply a pathway to getting here. Once people have arrived in Canada, then the real work begins, because you're in a new country. Not only culturally, but geographically, temperature, climate. Some of the most notable comments that people have is on the drive from, say, Winnipeg to Neepawa, does this ever end? Where are all the people? Look at all this space. Coming from countries that are much smaller, very dense populations, very dense urban and rural populations. It's quite a shocker to open your suddenly land and see where you are. So it begins there, because when we're talking about immigration, we're not just talking about numbers. We're talking about people. We're talking about people who have made a decision to make changes, dramatic changes in their lives for themselves as well as their children, and looking to the future. So that's when the work begins.
And the work involves, I would think, the entire community in many ways. Neepawa certainly has had to embrace many newcomers, mainly from the Philippines. What's that done to your schools, for example?
Oh, wow. It's meant we built a new school, an additional school, a new middle year school within the past 2 years, which is already virtually at capacity. We need another school. When you take a look in Neepawa, in the 3 schools, the elementary, middle years, and high school, the population of newcomer students is more than 50%. So the demographic has changed. It's also not just that kind of partnership. It's partnership at multiple levels. Federal government, provincial government, municipal government, and actually the community itself, no matter where you look. They all have to be part of the process. They all have to be somewhat in sync in terms of their support and their goals. And really, it's all about engaging our newcomers who come here, not keeping them in isolation, helping them understand what's available for them, how they can utilize it, and how they can become a fully functioning and integrated member into whatever particular community they're living in.
And what advice would you have for communities for taking on that job, for making things better for people?
I think a willingness, that's the first step. An interest in bringing in new people, but also facing the realities. As more and more people come, and we're looking at this in the new projection for next year, what about housing? Is there an infrastructure for housing? Can you accommodate? What's your educational system look like? What's your healthcare system? We all know, and this is not simply a newcomer's issue. Trying to find a family doctor now in Canada is becoming extremely challenging. The newcomers coming to Neepawa are younger families, and they're having children over here. So we've gone from a fairly rustic, bucolic, retirement and agrarian-based community, very comfortable, easygoing, being fairly stable, to suddenly there's kids playing in the streets, there's bicycle parks, there's all sorts of things happening. The energy level, and this is true of a lot of other smaller communities, has heightened considerably. It's really quite exciting, but it also brings us challenges.
Don Walmsley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Happy to be here. You have a great day.